Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your extremely sleep deprived host, Tony Cañas, batting the second of a double hitter, a not double hitter, double header, the second of a double header on zero sleep tonight, coming off of a Rice Leadership Summit, which has turned into so much fun that it's basically a little ITC for young insurance professionals from all parts of the industry. Check it out, riseprofessionals.com. All right, today I have with me Brandon Dendas, owner and marketing director at Convirtue. And normally, at this point, I'm apologizing for mispronouncing the name. In this case, the name of the person. In this case, I think I nailed the name of the person. The name of the company I've had some issues with. So Brandon, first of all, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well, doing well. I'm
Awesome.
actually calling in from my in-laws here in Michigan. We're actually based in Denver, but yeah, I'm here for a week and doing
Fantastic.
well.
This is the time of the year to go visit Michigan.
That
If
it is.
if you have family in Minnesota, or like we do, or in Michigan, or Vermont, I have a couple of I have two really good friends who live in Vermont, that I go visit every summer. Now's the time. Don't wait till after ITC. Go now. Um, Before we started recording, I asked Brandon, where did we meet? And he reminded me that we met in Phoenix, Arizona, 2 to 3 years ago at the Agency Success Conference by the now acquired Better Agency. That was a great conference. Um, so Brandon, how is the weather in Michigan on June 19th?
Right now, I'm looking at a window of a bunch of rain, but it's been decent. My wife's parents live right in front of a lake, so we've had some time to go out there. And you're exactly right. Michigan is beautiful around this time, so it's good to get away from the Colorado heat and hang out here for a little bit.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. By the way, I'm noticing that with no sleep, my voice has this deeper manly quality as opposed to my usual squeaky thing. I should do this more often. If only I just need to like not sleep on any night when I have a podcast recording the next day. This would result in me not sleeping roughly every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then I can sleep on the weekend. Seems appropriate. Uh, the quality of interviews might go down, and my life expectancy would too.
But
Uh,
you'll sound sexy,
but I
so
will sound
but
fantastic. Exactly. It's about the important things in life, right? We're both marketers, right?
right.
Yeah. Okay. Neither here nor there. Brandon, we always give the guest a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Convirtue?
Yeah, Convirtue. At Convirtue, we specialize in helping independent insurance agents grow through content marketing and SEO. And we're actually leaning into LEO, which we're now defining as long language model optimization, which is a
Hold on,
huge,
hold on.
huge opportunity for insurance agencies. Go ahead.
Hold on. You heard it here first, people. You heard it here first. LEO.
LEO,
Okay.
correct.
I had not heard this. Okay. So I rudely interrupted, but let's start digging into it. Okay. So you
For sure.
specialize in helping independent agencies grow through content marketing. Okay, content marketing. Cool. So yes, the stuff that I do, the stuff that Ryan Hanley does, the stuff that loss ratio does.
Hmm.
Uh, and the stuff that many agencies do, and many of them do it well. Now, you might notice how I'm going from I purposely like started with like the people that like do like a ridiculously cool job of content marketing, right? Ridiculously different. And then I said the kind of stuff that many agencies do, and many do it well. So if there's 30,000 insurance agencies, 30 to 40,000 independent insurance agencies in the country, I would guess that 5,000 of them have some sort of content marketing uh focus. They have somebody that's concentrating on this. And out of those 5,000, I would guess that 500 are doing it well. And okay, perfect. So big need in our industry. That's the big thing I want to get to. Okay.
For sure.
SEO. So this has been around for a long time, ever, right? Since I can remember. So search engine optimization, and this is an art and a science that changes all the time, and you can't keep up with it. You need somebody who specializes in this. Okay. And then LEO, you heard it here first. So large language model optimization. All right. So okay, keep going. Okay, so tell me what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're a little bit different in our approach of content, where other marketing agencies will focus on very kind of top of funnel, maybe mid funnel, more demand gen content, where we really optimize for bottom funnel transactional content. So what that means is when someone goes to Google, we're expecting them to be in the purchasing path. We're expected them to probably be already sold, like they know the specific policy or they're re in the renewal stage and they're a plumber contractor and they go to Google and type in, plumber contractor insurance or what insurance do I need as a restaurant or cyber liability insurance for restaurants. We're getting people at the exact point that they're searching for insurance. So what we've created as a model has worked exceptionally well across Google. And the fun thing about what's happening now is we're just needing to make some minor tweaks in our program and our approach to SEO for it to actually work on the long language models,
Okay, that,
which
that
I'm
makes me
happy to
feel
kind of
better.
go into.
That makes me feel better. Because independent agents are generally small businesses. It is hard to keep up with the tech side, very hard. It is hard to keep the website modern and updated. It is hard to keep the SEO and the SEO and the website working well. And here I was going like, oh my God, a whole new, like, complicated dimension,
Right.
right? So I am very glad to hear that it's okay. So why is it different? I mean, why is LEO necessary, and why is it different than SEO?
It's necessary because ultimately all marketing is showing up where people are. And as you and I probably spend our time now is shifting away from Google, right? I probably interact with ChatGPT. It's always open on a tab on my computer. I've set up on my phone the search functionality. So if I click this little icon, it opens up the voice and I'm speaking directly to ChatGPT. So people are spending a lot more time in that particular, software model or more
Let me let me
long language model. Go
let me
ahead.
jump in because this is such an interesting topic. Um, Google had become a way of life, and we didn't even think of it. I didn't. I personally did not think of how important Google was in my life
Yeah,
until recently. But we literally used a verb, Google it, right? Um, Google's been around since I was in high school in the mid 90s. I remember I'm old enough to remember Yahoo and Alta Vista and web crawler. Holy cow, that was a mess.
Ask
Yeah.
Jeeves too.
Ask Jeeves was so cool. So I remember many search engines along the way. But when Google came around, Google kind of became the thing. It was so much more accurate than anything else. So much easier to use and so good. And it just kept getting better and better and better, and eventually started like filling in thoughts. And I remember sitting in Columbus, Ohio for a job interview at Nationwide, and pulling out at this point my iPhone and enter in the hotel the night before the interview, and entering. I was going to stay a couple days after the interview or something along the lines. Yeah, I think I was spending the weekend in Columbus for this interview, and I pull out my phone and I type into Google things, and Google completes my sentence. Things to do in Columbus, Ohio. The exact phrase that I was about to enter. And I remember just being like, right, okay. So became radically important to every business under humanity. All right. Then the ChatGPT explosion happens, the Gen AI explosion happens. Personally, I tried ChatGPT in 2023, and I did. Who is Tony Cañas? Who is Renee Bruns, my girlfriend? What is Insurance Nerds? I was a little bit impressed with its ability to like answer a question in the style of Tony Cañas. Uh, and my business partner who I run sales and marketing for our little operation. She runs the actual recruiting operation. And so she's a COO with limited resources and like two full-timers, her and me, one of whom is unable to execute on anything, and two part-timers. She uses ChatGPT extensively to get shit done. I don't. Okay. So 2023. 2024 did not use it at all. At all. Like literally, my ChatGPT account, 2024, not a single search, not a single use. Come back April of this year. And I just wanted to create a little image of myself getting my Hogwarts letter. This thing. I
Okay.
ended up creating 200 versions of it in 200 different types of anime and Disney and everything else. And little by little, over the next few weeks, it became an absolute obsession, right? And I didn't even think until Sam Altman went on stage a couple of weeks ago. It'll be 5 or 6 weeks by the time this goes live. And he said that older people, and as a 42-year-old, I count on those older people, which is sad. So I don't think of myself that way. Older people use ChatGPT as a Google replacement. Younger people use ChatGPT as a life operating system. And I
Hmm.
thought about it, and I went like, that is right. I am no longer Googling. It's no longer my go-to.
Right.
My go-to is Samantha, which is what I named my ChatGPT. Um, and I hadn't even thought of the fact that my Google usage is like 1/10 what it was a year ago.
For sure.
Yes, so bringing it back together. So yes, before, if you want to get me as a customer, you better be easily findable on Google Maps if it's a physical thing,
Right.
at a restaurant or something, Yelp and Google Maps. The majority of my spending is not a physical location, right? Um, you better be easily findable for Samantha, for my ChatGPT. And it's only gonna more and more, right? And uh I did magic school this year for the first time because I'm a magician. So I went to Jeff McBride School of Magic and Mystery. That's what I was trying to announce with this thing. Okay. And there happened to be, well, I ended up using the custom magician ChatGPT to help me a lot with the school, coming up with sets and stuff. There happened to be a father and daughter team, uh, uh, both in the school. One of whom has been a magician for a long time, the father, and then the daughter is the 18-year-old who's been doing magic her whole childhood and wants to be a professional like her dad. Um, and there was one conversation where his name is Old Jasper and her name is Julia. I think that's her stage name. I don't know her real name. I don't think. But anyway, so there was a conversation over lunch where Julia is going like that. Just ChatGPT it. Uh, and he goes like, I know I need to learn how to use that. and she literally is going like, you just talk to it,
Right.
right? And this is happening around the time that I'm starting to use it myself, and that you just talk to it. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? We, and I'm guessing I'm 42, I'm guessing you might be a little bit younger than me, but anybody older than 10 is used to a world where to do something on a computer, you have to learn how to do it.
Hmm.
And the more complex it is, you might have to learn a little coding, you might have to learn a little, right? In the Gen AI world, you just talk to it
Yeah.
in natural language. So of course, this is now that it has access to the entire internet, can search things for you and can do deep research for you, it is going to replace Googling. Now, Google come up with its own version, of course. So yes, what does that mean for an independent agency that maybe was barely good at SEO and now has to think LEO?
Yeah, so I always like to say it's kind of similar to where we were in 2008 with Facebook being social. That was
Yes.
the
Okay.
primary
Good.
social
Good. Good.
platform, right?
Uh-huh.
And the social media manager's role was to, leverage as much or extract as much value from Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had X and, well, Twitter back then, but LinkedIn and all the other social platforms came in. Well, the social media manager's role was to manage all of those
Mm-hmm.
platforms for the business. So it's, I mean, like you said before, like, yeah, I came to the realization 2 years ago that I'm not necessarily like a digital marketer. It's like I just live in the world of Google.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do is within Google's like, world. So now I'm more optimistic than ever because now I get to do things that I can extract value in other channels, aka ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok. Funny enough, I generated 2 leads from Grok in the last couple months. Um, so, we now have the ability to diversify where you don't necessarily need to, deploy all assets in Google. Though, especially within the insurance industry, still a large majority. We're only seeing for our clients anywhere from like a 5 to 8% increase with the leads generated through ChatGPT. But that's ultimately where the puck is going, right? And we have to, adapt with the times. But luckily, our program applies to both Google and these long language models.
So
Um,
yeah, tell me about the program. Okay, so I have an independent agency. We have a website. Let's assume the website is decent and it doesn't feel like a GeoCities 1995 website, which there's a few insurance agencies out there that
right.
but let's say that we do have a modern website built built professionally by somebody who understands websites and understands insurance websites
Mhm.
in the last 2 to 5 years at the most. Uh, how do you partner with us?
Yeah, great question. So we start from a clean slate. So we actually fully customize their website. There's a big problem in the insurance industry with a lot of these web vendors that create these very cookie cutter websites. Obviously, leave their name out for obvious reasons, but you probably know who I'm referring to. And these folks create very optimized websites in regards to kind of UX design, and they function fairly well. But you've probably seen this, you'll come across an agency site and it looks and feels like a lot of other agency sites. It has the same functionalities. And essentially, what these web vendors are doing is, um, just changing the color scheme and slapping on a new logo and giving them a quote unquote new website. Unfortunately, that doesn't really work in the eyes of Google because, and I've
Uh,
talked about this before on LinkedIn, is this problem of duplicate content. So if you go to these websites that are created by these 5 or 6 of these web vendors in the insurance
mhm.
space, and you go to a home insurance page and you copy and paste, a few sentences into Google, Google is going to index the, 500 plus other sites that were developed by that web vendor. And that essentially goes against Google's guidelines. There's no penalty. You won't be penalized for it. But the goal of SEO is to convince Google that you're the best, most credible resource on the internet for any particular topic. Well, if you have a website that looks and essentially has the same exact content as 500 other websites, and someone types in a term like home insurance, who is Google supposed to pick, right? It really can't. So many of those websites are living, page 8 or 10 of Google, and which no one ventures past the first page of Google. No one ventures past the first few listings of Google. Um, so with that, we have to create a fully custom website that really aligns with Google's guidelines. There's essentially three pillars to a successful SEO campaign as well as LEO. The first is the custom website that really aligns with, in this case, Google's guidelines, making sure it has all of the SEO parameters. The second element is creating content that people are actually searching for, emphasis on actually searching for. Because I see this a lot in the insurance space where it happens a lot of the times like top down by carriers. They'll provide content for insurance agents to share across their like Facebook feed or even add on their website. And it's, content that's very top of funnel of like how to prepare your home for a tornado. No one's really reading that content. No one's really searching for that content. So that content can live on your website. And if it's not receiving clicks and views, that indicates to Google that your website is kind of irrelevant, right? Because you're publishing content that no one's actually reading or searching for. So you really have to figure out what people are searching for. That's the second pillar. And you need to create that content at scale. Consistently publish content to indicate to Google that you're credible and relevant. And then the third piece is promotion. So promotion through creating your content and sharing it across these social channels, as well as getting backlinks, which you've probably heard as a technical backlink. It's essentially Google's way of seeing that other businesses are referring yours. So you want to do it in a local perspective from local directories, but then you also want to do it through other credible, like insurance related websites, whether that be carriers or communities or forums, any way to generate a high quality backlink, emphasis on high quality, because there are other services out there that'll sell backlinks. But if you get a backlink from a very deceptive site, that can actually hurt your SEO ranking. So that's essentially our approach to running these programs. But it really first starts with a fully optimized website that we create for our clients and that they own. They're not renting the website from us, which I know is kind of a standard in this industry.
Oh, I did not know that. So okay. So tell me a little bit more about that. So how do
Sure.
you rent a website?
Yeah, so a lot of these vendors, not even just in the insurance industry, will essentially create a website for you. But if you cut the contract with them, they're just going to strip the website away from you. Versus what we do, we create that for them to own. It's as if we're creating like a house for them, right? We're a contractor, we create the house and they live in the house. Versus these other vendors tend to you're just renting the site from them. So if you invest in content marketing, if you invest in blog posts, there could be a breaking point where if they decide they want to part ways, they can take those assets away from you. And we don't do that for our clients because, quite frankly, I don't believe in
That's
that
insane that
model.
that's a thing.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. It is crazy, but it's not just in the insurance industry. A lot of other marketing agencies do that for other businesses. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate because yeah, I mean, again, like if you're investing in content, and the bottom of every digital marketing funnel is your website, and if you've invested all that time and effort in different channels, and they do decide to part ways or the business closes or whatever, like they own the website. You don't own the website.
Makes sense. Perfect. Okay, so basically you build us an entirely new website and it's not cookie cutter and we own it. Okay, perfect. Okay.
That's
Give
correct. Sorry.
no
Sorry, it
worries, no
sounded like
worries,
you
no
were
worries.
cutting out. I was worried if the Wi-Fi is a little
No
spotty, but
worries.
go ahead.
So brand new website, not cookie cutter, LEO optimized, we own it. Okay. what is the process, and also, are you a lot more expensive? Uh, because you're right. If the others are um if the others are if the others are just throwing my logo on, their cost is low.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely a premium service compared to a lot of these other folks in the insurance industry. But with that, the beauty of SEO and content marketing that I absolutely love, that's a lot different than other paid channels, like lead buying, for example, which I made a post about LinkedIn or on LinkedIn a couple days ago. With lead buying, like if you're paying a lead gen company $1,000 and they hand over 10 leads, the only way you're going to get to 20 or 30 leads is if you pay them 2,000 or $3,000, right? Versus content marketing and SEO is unique in that the amount invested can stay the same, but the results just continue to grow and compound over time. And the reason that happens is once you get to page one of Google for a term like, let's say, home insurance, Detroit, Michigan, that piece of content can live there anywhere from 1 to 3 years without doing much to it. So what that allows you to do is maintain that seed and plant that you grew and reallocate resources somewhere else, which would mean potentially expanding to other states, which a lot of our clients come to us as generalists and really want to dominate their state. We can then have a conversation. If we're ranking page one, listing one across every single policy or industry they're looking to target, we can come to them and say, let's think about another neighboring state or another state that you're licensed in. Or we have other clients that are very vertical specific. They just write within contractors or farm and ranch insurance. And that's where we can, discuss creating another vertical specific agency, which is another thing we're now incorporating in this program because I very much believe in the niche specialization, vertical specialization, excuse me, model. And really view that as the future of the commercial insurance brokerage industry. And I'm happy to kind of dive through that and
Yes,
what
absolutely.
that
Walk us
entails.
through that because in commercial it's so important.
Super, super important. Yeah, so we've created this, we're kind of coining the term as like the sister digital insurance agency. And what that means is it allows generalist insurance agencies to go deep on a particular vertical without jeopardizing their generalist insurance agency. So a lot of folks are skeptical, which it makes sense, right? You're a generalist insurance agency and you write, 100 different industries, different policies. Maybe you do both personal and commercial and someone's telling you to go all in on contractors or construction and trucking, and those premiums are massive and it's totally justified, but you're like, well, what we're doing is working and we're kind of diversified, and that's nice. What the sister digital agency allows you to do is keep and maintain your generalist insurance agency, but allow you to spin up a digital first insurance agency that's just
What a
dedicated
different brand.
to contractors. Totally different brands, but you can create brand synergy where it would be, for example, we have a client that specializes in contractors, so it's their name underneath like the contractor specialist agency. So there's some brand synergy there, but it's essentially like just a program that they have internally, but launching it as a separate like entity. So if I'm a consumer and I come across this, contractor specific agency and I am a plumber contractor, I'm so much more inclined to work with that independent insurance agency because all they do is write that type of business. They'll know exactly the coverage I need. They'll have case studies. I could probably speak with their clients. It's funny because when I talk to insurance agencies about this model, it clicks because I immediately reframe it and I ask them like, why were you confident enough to get on a call with me? And they're like, well, I see that all you do is specialize in with insurance agents. And they're like, oh, okay. Like now this makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a
how the way my
huge,
recruiting business works.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We
Okay.
we speak insurance. We live in the insurance and insurtech world. We've got like 20 some years of insurance experience specifically. Uh, so yes, that's why they call us because
Exactly. I always like to say it's like my analogy is like if you had a heart condition, would you prefer to work with or go to a cardiologist with
uh-huh.
maybe only 2 years of experience or a generalist, practitioner with 30 years of experience? I'm going to the cardiologist even though he only has 2 years of experience. Why? Because he's put in the time, repetitions, and knows that particular issue probably better than someone that has dabbled in so many different practices over the last 30 years. So it's a huge, positioning, and that's ultimately like the goal in insurance is positioning. Like to the consumer, you do the same thing. You just sell insurance. But if you really brand yourself as that, and it's not a marketing ploy, right? It's like you have to intimately know that industry. You have to understand the pain points. Like for
Quest
me, like
go
what's
go
that?
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, the last 2 years has been hard. We've dealt with hard market conditions. Do you really think a generalist SEO agency would be able to navigate the hard market conditions and figure out like cross-sell opportunities and all of these other opportunities to grow in that type
Agreed.
of environment? Absolutely not. But our clients have been growing, through those times. So. Yeah, I mean that really is the beauty of being, a vertical specific agency, and I
Absolutely.
have firsthand experience in which it sounds like you do as well. And it ultimately just comes down to positioning, and that's, the goal. And like I said, with the vertical or the sister digital agency, you don't have to jeopardize everything that you've already created. This model allows you to create something and go deep in a particular vertical, and then you figure out that that works. And I just made a post about this on LinkedIn recently of niching down to niche up, because once you niche down, you create that framework that then you can stack on to other industries. And that's where you can, sell those books of businesses to the larger, brokerages, and kind of fix and flip kind of model of all these different verticals.
Fantastic question.
Sure.
Can you help us figure out what verticals to niche down on in commercial lines, or do we have to have that uh, or do we have to have that figured out and then bring you in to help us build those virtual brands?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I can. So that's a great question. Funny enough, I just had a call before this. That seems like the golden question, right? Like, where are those opportunities that aren't overly saturated? So, for example, like a market that would be overly saturated would be like transportation, trucking. There are a lot of vertical specific agencies as well as contractors. Um, actually, a great example of this is we had a client come to us that all they do is write cannabis insurance. And my initial hesitation was like, are enough people going to Google and searching for this? And we figured out the total, search volume for that pillar keyword and all like the subcategories of like, medical dispensaries and distributors and processors. And we estimated a certain amount, and we gave them an estimate of how many leads they could generate every single month, and they decided to work with us. But I was initially skeptical because I won't work with a client if they come to us and they're like, all we do is write, gentlemen's clubs, and it's like, I don't know if there's enough people going to Google and searching for that. That probably doesn't make sense. But in this case, even though it was a pretty taboo industry, there was enough people searching for that on Google, which would indicate that there's clearly a market for it. And we got them ranking, page one of Google across every single state that they're licensed in. So yeah, that's kind of our approach to how we can
Perfect.
figure out if that
So
market makes
so
sense.
basically, what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard is if you have some ideas of which niches you want to go after, I can't help you. I can't teach you how to write that niche, right? I can't teach you what you need to ask them when you write. I can't tell you which markets you need to have to write that niche. but I can do the research and let you know if that niche makes sense from the digital marketing perspective and then help you grow.
Correct. Yeah, it makes sense
Fantastic.
in an SEO perspective too, because you have
Fantastic.
to also imagine like, let's say a market where the owners aren't electing to go to Google. It could be a huge market, but
Mhm.
SEO and content marketing wouldn't be the best channel to acquire that
Are
type.
there, do you have specific stories on that, on markets that are rather large for insurance agencies or that do exist but that are not reachable via SEO and LEO?
Yeah, I mean, like the LEO is kind of a black box as it stands right now. I think it's just too new to really extract that value,
Yeah.
or understand that approach. Which I would argue and say that the middle market to larger accounts might actually use ChatGPT over Google. But sure, I mean, there's definitely markets where it wouldn't make sense. For example, we have a client down in Texas. They are a generalist insurance agency. We created like an oil and gas page for them
Mm-hmm.
and generated a lead, and it was a massive, massive premium size,
Mm-hmm.
but it was one in the last, year or so. So they can hit, but they're pretty infrequent, which would probably indicate that, that wouldn't be the best channel to go after. Granted, all we needed to do was, create one page and juice it up with a couple of backlinks and got that on page one of Google. But, that might not be an opportunity as like the vertical specific agency to attack through SEO. But you
Mm-hmm.
need to understand, like, it's not just the digital, sister digital agency is not just for like SEO and content marketing. It's the whole brand itself, right? Because you can
I
dedicate an individual producer that reaches out and says, I'm with the Oil and Gas Pro insurance agency versus like the John Smith insurance agency.
are you familiar with the Griswold and Griswold story?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, a friend of mine, his name is Stephen Griswold. He happens to be a junior recruiter for me nowadays. Among other things, this is not his day job is not junior recruiter. He does that because enjoys it. So Griswold inherited Stephen inherited a Main Street commercial lines agency in California. His grandpa started it, then his dad ran it, and then handed it to Stephen when Stephen was like 28. Uh, and a very Main Street type of small commercial business. So Steven comes in, and the first thing he does, a little more radical than just marketing, but okay. The first thing he does is he sells off the physical office, and this is before COVID, and everybody thought he was crazy. Sells off the physical office, makes everybody remote, improves the processes, and a couple of years in, he creates what you are calling a sister agency. Uh, um, I can't remember the name, but Steven is a vegan. He brilliantly realized, that there were not enough insurance agencies specialized in vegan businesses. There's not that many vegan businesses,
Right.
but if you are vegan businesses, vegan businesses and animal rights organizations. So there's not that many of those, but those that are, guess who they're going to buy insurance from,
Right.
right? So he creates a sister agency, right? And hires it ended up with like 7 employees. Uh, and
Wow.
the employees were all very, very committed to the mission. Very, very, very knowledgeable about how to insure businesses in this very specific niche in the whole country. Um, and they became the go-to for any business in this very, very niche world, right? He ended up selling off the whole thing, and pursuing other things around the insurance. But it's a very same idea. Now he did it out of his own creativity. Uh, being able to do it being able to hire you to do it in a systematized way for the niches that I want to focus on, as just a regular insurance agent. Amazing, 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 amazing. All right, all right, all right. I'm always curious on the origin story. How did you end up doing uh SEO and LEO specialized websites specifically for independent insurance agents?
Yeah, great question. And this is always mentioned in the first part of my demo when I speak with insurance agencies. So I'm technically like third generation insurance professional, though
Of
I was
course.
never a broker. So my grandfather owned an agency, my dad owned an agency. So funny enough, my first official job in insurance was I don't know if this was specifically in Connecticut, where I'm originally from, but you had to hold on to like client files for 7 years. So my dad had this back office of just like so many rows of these documents. And my goal, or my my first job at the office was to take those, scan them on a scanner and move them into a PDF file. He wanted to like digitize everything. And we're talking of like tens of thousands of documents.
So now, what was it at least like a nice flatbed scanner, or are we talking like the old 90s, like literally scan down the page and then try to align them, which was a nightmare?
No, it was definitely like a
Okay,
modernized one.
perfect,
I think this
perfect.
was probably
Yeah.
like
Okay, so
2009 or
okay,
something
so
like
it
that.
wasn't hazing.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it felt like it. It definitely felt like it. But yeah, I mean, in that experience, I was like, oh my God, insurance is so mundane and like, the fluorescent lights in the office. I didn't want to be any part of insurance. So that definitely scared me away. But funny enough, I graduated from UConn in 2015 and
With
I
a
went
degree in
communications and
perfect.
marketing
All
and
right, and
marketing.
thinking I'm gonna do anything but insurance.
Correct. Yeah, I
Okay.
did not want to be a broker. So I went to work with a marketing automation service. It was a small startup in Connecticut. We had contracts with McKinsey, and some of their clients were actually insurance carriers, State Farm, for example. So we're providing like optimization tweaks on their website and spending all time really understanding the customer digital journey. So pretty much what I was doing was taking what I was implementing on the on the carrier side. So I probably shouldn't be disclosing this information, but hopefully I won't get sued. And taking that information and pretty much understanding that framework and applying it to in a small independent insurance agency site, aka my family's insurance agency. Um, so I kind of dabbled with that on the side. Ended up quitting, worked at the agency for a couple months, and pretty much created this program where I was able to kind of get scrappy. And at the time, the agency was investing entirely in Google AdWords. They were spending anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000 bucks a month, and they were generating like maybe 10 leads at tops. It was crazy, and it was mostly on the personal lines. So it was really easy to say like, let's reallocate this resources and just get, scrappy. Let's try out different things. So I tried out, organic social, YouTube videos, blog features, all this different stuff, and eventually landed on, SEO and content marketing. And that became the top performing channel, cost-wise, generating high quality leads. So I really knew I had something because I was competing with a lot of like Connecticut's has some really top tier independent brokerages, and a lot of them are investing, like Chris Paradiso, for example. Like,
The moment you said Connecticut top tier, I basically almost interrupted you. Said Paradiso. Yeah.
yeah, so Paradiso, he was definitely the pinnacle. Like I was, competing with him for a lot of those keywords.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely well knowledgeable in that space. But yeah, I just saw that there was a lot of I as a one man shop as like a young 20-year-old was able to outrank all of these other brokerages in the area. We were generating like 150 leads, and I knew I had something. So I started kind of freelancing, and then officially launched Convirtue in 2020. And now we have close to like 40 clients in the US, ranging from, generalist insurance agencies, vertical specific agencies, or, commercial and personal. We do stay away from primarily primarily personal insurance agencies. Like we will not work with a personal insurance
It's hard to
agency.
differentiate them.
It's a very difficult, very competitive market. A lot of them don't have the budget to compete with
They don't have the
SEO and
margin. Yeah,
content marketing. Right, exactly. And quite frankly, I think it's kind of a dying art.
I agree.
If I
Yeah.
talk to any of my friends or family and I ask who do you work with for insurance, they're like, "Oh, I work with State Farm or blah blah blah." I'm like, "Do you ever work with like a broker?" They're like, Why would I need to do that?" And insurance or producers are probably rolling their
The
eyes listening to
the
this right now,
so
but
so
it's
so
just the nature, right?
the why I can make a good argument as to why. You want to make sure you have the right coverage. Yes, it is easier to buy, especially if you're like me and you don't own a home anymore. That don't even have a car anymore. Uh, because we live
I mean, it
downtown.
makes sense. You're
Uh,
on the road like
but
every single day,
and
it seems
we
like.
moved downtown, like we like the car, we weren't ever going to use it, and like it was going to be expensive to park for no reason. But anyway, if you are the average let's say young professional with like a car and an apartment but no home, it's easier to just get Geico. Now,
Right.
you should make sure you get good coverages, which Geico won't make. I mean, they'll sell you good coverages if you ask for them, but if you don't know to ask for them, and once you do have assets, right? If you have, if you become the middle market client that owns a home and has a couple of cars and maybe a boat, having an agent having a broker makes a lot of sense. The problem is the client doesn't know that,
Right.
right? And it's very hard to differentiate in that space. So yes, I agree with you. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was just emphasizing that point,
Yeah.
and I guess that can lead us into like the next topic, which would be, the future of the independent
Oh
insurance
yes, yes, yes,
industry,
yes,
and that
yes,
being very kind of risk management, very commercial
yes.
focused. I think commercial really is the
Yeah,
future of the
and I
independent
think they
insurance.
all know it. By the way, the
Yes.
research is very clear.
Hmm.
The research is very clear for the last several years, like the last like 10 years. Specialized commercial agents do better.
Hmm.
Period. Now,
Higher multiples too, which I found out.
the tricky part is finding your niche and becoming good at it.
Right.
But specialized commercial agents do better. Commercial agents do better than personal lines agents, and personal lines agents. Every personal lines agent is diversifying their book into commercial. It's just not easy to do.
Right.
So, um, very very interesting stuff, Brandon. Very very interesting stuff. Um, I like the fact that you're very honest with prospects on who it makes sense to work with, and I like the fact that there's uh some clients that you're like, hey, this just not the right fit, right? We just can't make a difference for you. I don't want to charge you money and have you leave me a bad review afterwards.
Right.
Because we take the same approach basically. Um, all right. So so that clients can self underwrite before calling you. Uh, what is kind of the minimum level we need to be at? So we need to be commercial lines focused, have an idea of the niches we want to go after, and do we need to be at least like 5 6 person office, or like a like one producer, one CSR team that is commercial lines focused? Is like at what point does it make sense to give you a call, or have a good chance that you'll be willing to work with us?
Yeah, great question. And just to clarify on the personal lines front, because we do have agencies that lean a little bit more into
Uh-huh.
personal. So, for example, the Phoenix Insurance we work with, they're down in Texas,
Uh-huh.
and they're kind of vertical specific in that they brand themselves as who they are, which is car enthusiasts. So all they do is write like high-end cars. So we have them ranking page one of Google for a term like Bugatti or Ferrari and
High
shit.
net worth agents, our personal lines, and
Yes,
they're
yeah,
niche
high net
down.
worth.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right, yeah. But in regards to the qualifications, we're kind of all over the board. It ultimately comes down to like, can you keep up with lead volume? Because ultimately, what we are is a lead generation agency, right? We generate leads through SEO directly through our clients' websites. So if they aren't equipped, if they don't have the sales force, if they don't have the,
Mm-hmm.
someone picking up the phone, they don't have automation set in place, we ultimately, can't deliver value
Okay.
because we're getting people to the front
Okay.
door, picking up the phone or
So
entering in submissions.
for for I'm kind of interrupting, but we're almost out of time. For any agency that is in this transition but doesn't yet have all that set up, okay. Uh, all right. Uh, do the process work. Get your processes in order. Get everything documented. Go to Kelly Donahue Piro or somebody like her. She can probably recommend if you're small and she's too small to work for her at Agency Performance Partners, then she'll recommend somebody that can help you with this. So do that process work. Get rid of the crap work and VA that. Call my friend Wes or Graber at Agency VA or any of the many other VA firms. Then if you need more horsepower, give me a call. We'll help you hire the right people now that you've got and be remote friendly for God's sakes. And once you have that in place, then call Brandon and get that phone ringing.
Yeah, I think the foundation definitely needs to be there. Though, I mean, with SEO, it does, take time. So you can start to receive 10, 15, 20 leads, de deal with that kind of hand-to-hand combat, and then set up automation. So there's really not a sweet spot. It's just, getting them into a position where they can actually handle the leads coming through because, you know, these are very high quality leads. They're ready, they're high intent, and they're exclusive, right? We're not selling leads to multiple insurance agencies. We're generating them specifically for that agency. But yeah, growth oriented because we're ever evolving, right? We don't brand ourselves as an SEO agency, though I do believe that to be the best channel for independent insurance agents, SEO and LEO as well. I see so many other opportunities, specifically, which we haven't offered as a service, but we are working on this right now, is essentially what I'm doing across LinkedIn, of becoming, a thought leader in one particular vertical, because a lot of insurance agents are stepping up to the plate and creating really good content, but the content isn't reaching the right people. And you've probably seen this in the insurance industry, Tony, where people create content and then you look at the engagement and it's all their insurance buddies. That content is not reaching the right people. Why? Because it's telling LinkedIn that that content is for other insurance agents. And if you're creating a content explaining why a restaurant needs cyber liability insurance and 25 other insurance agents are liking it, that will not reach restaurant owners. So what you need to do is revamp your LinkedIn profile to specifically target that audience. And it really starts with who you follow and who you engage with. And that's ultimately what I've done and seen success. And I'm seeing anywhere from like 2 to 5 leads from my personal LinkedIn profile every single week. And it's because I've spent so much time fine tuning my profile to the point where I tell my buddies from college and other marketing friends to actually not like my content because that one like will trigger the LinkedIn algorithm and say that that content is supposed to be for, another marketing agency owner. And that's not the case. So I go as far as like telling my friends not to like my content, as well as like unfollowing people that you simply don't engage with and only engage with people that are in your audience. And I think that's a huge, huge opportunity for insurance agents because so many of them are stepping up to the plate. It just comes down to course correction. And I think that's arguably the biggest opportunity for commercial insurance agents to really become an authority across LinkedIn.
All right, all right. And we ran out of time. Brandon, a fantastic conversation. Super, super interesting stuff. When this goes live, I will tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. And agents, if you listened this deep in, give them a call. If you listen all the way to this point of the conversation, 53 minutes in or whatever, quite clearly this is something you're needing. Give him a call. Tell him that Tony sent you, or no, to be accurate, tell him that you saw him on profile or heard him on Profiles in Risk. I don't get commission on it, just so that he knows. Real pleasure chatting with you today. This is very, very interesting stuff. Thank you.
Likewise, man. Thanks so much.